So to have a competitive bid per campaign, the investment per campaign increases. So I calculate worst case into number of creatives that they're live gives you amount of dollars that they've spent, and you can see this ad has run from X date range to Y. You can calculate all this. It's a custom logic. 1/5 of that cost by standard cold email response rate, positive response meeting, blah blah blah. You get similar meetings. Is this worth exploring?
Hi there everyone. I've got a special guest in front of me today, and we're recording this although in front of a Starbucks. But I've got Harsh Mamgain with me, who's been a GTME for science and has excellent ways to be able to capture people's attention. We're going specifically to be talking about a bit of on to his experiences, learnings as GTME, as well as the best practices in the industry and what we believe seems to be working in here. So I welcome you to the show.
Nice to meet you, Nishkarsh, and a pleasure as always. How do you want to structure this conversation?
Absolutely. So you can start off a bit onto your journey as well as going specifically about a few of the things you believe seems to be working in your journey. Maybe, where science has been as per their outbound campaigns, and what did they look like? What were some things that you did there which other people outside would have not known, and things like that. And then, I can ask a few more questions after that.
It's been about almost a year now since I have been doing Outbound and other GTM shenanigans. I joined Science 4 months back, and I think it's important to mention the date. Today is 14th August 2025. So it's important because these trends keep changing and then you have to iterate accordingly. I would say when I first joined Science, so Science has been a bit of context. They have been in business for over 10 years now, so it's a well-reputed brand. And as I joined them, I was transitioning sort of, let's say, they were looking for GTME to assist their cold calling, because essentially inherently at core they are a cold calling agency. So they wanted me to build hyper targeted list, because you cannot scale more than, let's say, 150 dials per SDR, right? And if those 150 dials are pinpoint precise, then it gives a way more effective result and so on. So that was one side. The other side was they wanted to get their hands on these all fancy N8N clay workflows which you keep seeing on LinkedIn. So I was brought in from that perspective. And I'll tell you specific industries that I worked up until now would be the manufacturing industry in the US and financial industry in the US. So financial industry in the US is usually, and this is my third client in this space, it's usually a tougher market because those people just don't have. So these are your credit unions, your banks, all of these sort of stuff.
Ledgers.
And yes, ledgers and so on. And getting a response from them has been really difficult via email. They just don't respond until your offer is really good. So I can tell you some of the things which don't work. Hey, I checked out your LinkedIn. I think all of this has become too mainstream now and nobody responds. It's basically you're saying, I've stalked you on LinkedIn, I've done my research, notice, blah, blah, blah. I don't think this works anymore. I think smaller email, direct to the chase. Who are you? What is your offer? How can you make their lives easier? Again, universal offer, save money, blah, blah, blah. Just get to this. And social proof. That works universally. It has been working better in, let's say, manufacturing industry where even my emails are getting responses. So standard around 2 to 3% reply rates. And the list is super filtered, then I get a positive response rate of around 3%. And if the list is again like the entire TAM, then it's around 1%. On the financial side, I did a lot of testing and turns out that you need to reach them on LinkedIn, reach them on email, and then have the SDR cold call as well. And this is a structural process, chronological process. So step 1 would be email. And let's say it's a 2 email sequence or a 3 email sequence. Done. LinkedIn parallel. And then to top it off, you add cold calling, and that seems to be working there. So that is I've worked in these 2 industries recently. And again, these trends are susceptible to change. What I am reporting to you is what has been working up until August 2025.
That's super awesome, right? So up until August 2025, we've seen a bit on to deliverability with Outlook, right? So do you have anything particular to say on that regard?
Outlook deliverability honestly has been like a pain in the butt. Honestly, it does not, it's like a Pandora's box. Whatever you send there, did it land? Schrodinger's cat at this point. Does it exist? You'd never know. You never know. It can be in spam. So, and I've tried multiple variations. So only Outlook to Outlook performs decently. And that also can go wrong, by the way. It's not a golden rule or something. But Gmail to Outlook is messed up. SMTP to Outlook is messed up, and Outlook, I have no idea. And I think this is an industry-wide phenomena, so to say. Because I've been talking to other GTMEs as well, and they have been reporting similar insights. What about you, Nishkash? I think you'll have something to say on this.
Absolutely. So, Outbound's been pretty fucked up for us specifically. What we do instead, which has been performing better, is leveraging Azure-based inboxes. Their infrastructure is something where they really order in Azure. So they really get physical SMTP servers. They cost about $10,000 to $12,000 annually, and then they install their older Azure version, which acts as some sort of so it's a complicated $20,000 setup, right?
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Not for every client.
So we can leverage this for every single client. We can use a provider something like Hypertide. They have a $2,000 initiation fee. Then no promotions, of course, no sponsorships, but then comparatively super cheap. As well as I've seen people as well as companies specifically getting results out from SMTP providers. I'd say people's being very honest, people like Scaled Mail and all of that, they're bullshit. They don't work. Even Maildoso's been fucking up a lot. And I'd say traditional SMTP is okay-ish in this terms, right? They don't really have any cost for an email. They'll just make some stuff up and charge you, which is going to go down a month later or something like that. But usually Hypertide's been performing good, as well as Google. So this is about, I'd say, my initiation of understanding looks like. I wanted to ask you the next question, if that's fine for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to ask you, what's your view has been, which is being the super important question for every single GTME, specifically, is when a campaign does not work, what is it that you do? To start up with and help you a bit onto this topic, what I do is essentially, is number one, when I start with a client, so I launch 2 to 3 different campaigns. Number one, of their lookalikes, of their competitors, clients' lookalikes, and things like that. Right. Once a campaign does not work, I do a few things to make it work, like the generic, try to add more credibility, try to improve their offer, something like that. Do you have anything else which is not, on the overall side of things? Like, can you be a bit more specific and add on something?
So when something doesn't work, you obviously retrace your steps, right? Like fixing a N8N workflow. So you have each modules. This did not work. Okay, why? Backtrack. And if your deliverability is fine, if your lead list is fine, email validity, all of those is fine, then it's your copy at the end of the day. You have narrowed down that something in your copy does not work. Most likely, it's either your subject lines, which is not, the person is not even opening the email, or even if they're opening the email, the offer is not compelling enough for them to respond. So let's get on the same page when it comes to definitions. Not working is, I'm not getting positive replies, I'm not getting negative replies as well. That's my definition of not working. The guy is not even bothering to respond, not interested. So that is also an indicator to me. And even I'm not getting that, then I think it's not working. So how do you resolve? Most likely it's in the offer, where the clients that I have past experience with think, oh, they have a fantastic offer. And in terms of social proof also, I think it's very skewed, because I think a lot of people confuse cold outbound with email marketing. And email marketing is your HubSpot and blah, blah, blah. But that's like sending a marketing pamphlet to the user. And of course, the core difference is those are consent-based emails, right? I have physically checkbox that I'm okay receiving the emails and so on. But that's the trouble, right? Cold emails, people don't know you, they don't trust you. So how do you initiate or develop that trust is the question. And it's not, oh, we are the largest, biggest player in whatever segment that you're doing. It's how can you make my life easier at the end of the day? I don't care if you're Google or Perplexity or whatever. Tell me, how can you make my life easier and make that process frictionless for me? So that has been the core culprit for me, and how do I resolve it would be the next question. So I go to the client, I tell them, hey, I know you thought you hired me and it magically there should be leads in your calendar, but that's not how it works, unfortunately. We have to really work on the offers. An offer is something which I think they don't think that a GTME should mess with their core business, because an offer transcends outbound. It's an integral part of their business. And then I just copy paste all of Hermosi's principles of $100 million offers, $100 million leads. And then I have at least 2 offers that I want to test, bare minimum, 3, 4 even better, and 2 lead magnet campaigns that I run. More the merrier, but that's how I do, and something works. So you have almost 5 new campaign ideas and something works. Each campaign has about 1,000 leads. So that is how I know that something's working, something's not. And this has been like the last resort, which usually works for me mostly. So this has been my process.
That's super exciting and super informative to hear, right? Well, something that I could really add up is the fact that to be able to better understand the pain point of the ICP, right? We both try to leverage at our own businesses something to be able to find better problems after the research has been done on to the onboarding. I try to create some sort of a sales argument so that I'm able to understand in depth on what some seems to be the pain point of the user, what seems to be the deepest, darkest fears or troubles which he's not able to sleep at night might look like, what could be his problems or his desires or his motivations could look like, for us to be able to better understand those, and we can somehow put those inside the copy would be the best possible thing that I do. But yeah, any possible comments onto that would be awesome, Harsh.
I think one more thing that I've done with not many clients, but some clients who understand that this is an iterative process and it's a partnership. I have to work with them. Many people have this idea that pay them the money and then give them 2-3 decks, that's job done. So those campaigns most likely don't perform because the client is lazy. I give them this distinction on the first call as well, that this is a partnership where I work, you work with me, and we get to success. It's not that you have paid me and then some magic will happen. What I wanted to highlight was I also asked them to give me discovery call videos, and that gives me those are insightful, I would say. So because even that guy, right, is on a 1-hour messaging workshop with you, let's say, and in 1 hour there is only so much he can tell you. So take those and don't transcribe and put in AI, because that would lose context. It will get you so far, but listen to that at 1.5x while you are eating, like a podcast. So you're hearing the customer directly. Nice. Because you can't call him or like, oh, what's up? What's your deepest, darkest secret? Don't tell you. But you can listen to the discovery calls, which they usually have. So that's get deep inside their sales process is what I would recommend. And then again, if the client is open to it, ideally everyone should be open to it because it's what makes sense. How can I generate pipeline for you if I don't know the customer? So that's something I've tried and it has worked well.
That's awesome. That's very, very super insightful that I could have never mostly thought of, specifically since, well, yeah, right. Having a few of the discovery as well as strategy calls does tremendously help in understanding what their ICP might be thinking, and how can we work towards ensuring we are aligned with them and their messaging. So cheers to that. Right. What I do essentially in terms of some triggers, signals or intents, and they all have different meanings, and I try to put them in a single group. But well, there are a lot of things that I've been doing for the professional services side of industry. I've been trying out LinkedIn listening, social listening, and it's been working, I'd say more than decent in that aspects, right? So I just wanted to hear your words before we actually, jump to LinkedIn Outbound. And so, yeah. Can
you, before we move on to this, my comments, can you define what social listening is to someone who does not know?
Absolutely. So what I actually do is, for example, I have a client who wants to hire, let's say, an IT development agency, right? So what I am going to do is I'm going to put up different posts, different keyword searches for items like IT agency or IT agency hiring, or even, searching up for their particular job post that they might be hiring, and then just putting down the keywords and the hiring as a word, and the listening tool is going to find all of the specific posts that fit in the criteria, and I am going to know that this is the most relevant and responsible person who is fearing and wants the hire right now. He's fearing if he don't get it, he might lose his job. So he is the real person to reach out to him instead of just finding jobs and then finding out their hiring manager and stuff like that. And the second thing is, we can, for example, if a company has recently been to some sort of an event, and we know that all the participants of that particular events are SaaS founders who are looking forward to a particular service, we can just put in hashtag event or event, because a lot of people after the event go to an event just post up LinkedIn post. Most of them does, and we know that this is a person who's going to take things seriously. So this is how social listening does, but happy to be able to know your views on them.
So honestly, my workflows haven't been as mature as yours. So what I do is, in terms of intent, I do the hiring campaign works very well for me, because the idea then becomes you're hiring someone. I know everybody knows hiring campaign at this point. I don't need to explain it, but hire someone at X amount of money, hire me or my service or whatever for X by 2 or X by 3 or whatever. And it's zero risk because an employee, right? You have to train them, invest in them, and then they can just like not show up for work the another day. There's always that risk. And so that has been working well. But what you say makes sense. So my assumption is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, let's say 100 people, 100 decision makers you are able to identify who are hiring. So, and then you reach out to them. Social listening, what social listening will do is, it will further act as a filter. It will look what these 100 people have been posting and so on, and it will give you, let's say, 30 hottest targets, so to say. This is how, in a nutshell, it works, right?
You can either do that, or you'll be able to expand your TAM up with people that you would not have even found in your ICP who are searching for specific. But it works both ways.
Let's say if they're not hiring but posting, so then also they become a relevant ICP. Okay, makes sense. Super interesting. I can definitely try. In terms of other intent signals, okay, one intent signal unintentionally, and for all cold outbound agencies, which I recently saw success with, I look if they're running LinkedIn ads. Now, my first job, I was brought in to run Google ads and LinkedIn ads specifically for a B2B SaaS. LinkedIn ads are super expensive. LinkedIn ads has the best targeting, and minimum bid that you can do for a particular ad creative is $5 a day. Even then you will show up nowhere because it's too low. So to have a competitive bid per campaign, the investment per campaign increases. Cold email is the cheapest way to get your prospects' attention. So I play on that angle. And you can various providers, you can get how many ads they're running. So I calculate worst case, this is the industry bidding, you can check this also, into number of creatives that they're live, gives you the amount of dollars that they've spent, and you can see this ad has run from X date range to Y. You can calculate all this. It's a custom logic. You have spent 10 grand on this. 1/5 of that cost by standard cold email response rate, positive response meeting, blah blah blah. You get similar meetings. Is this worth exploring? So that is one intent that has worked for me. But this requires, because I've run those ads, I know the pain. My head of marketing guy would have easily hired an agency and fired me, because honestly that's how it makes sense, because my salary plus LinkedIn does not make sense on paper for him. So that's one intent that has been working for me, but I will explore your social listening thing as well. I've also seen Reddit, people using Reddit for the same. So super interesting.
Yeah, phenomenal. My only comments are, I have like the specific custom filtering for finding out their approximate number of dollars spent is really phenomenal, and me as well as the viewers need to use them immediately. So we're going to steal them, and thank you for that. But I'd say
I'm just thinking, am I spilling too much beans? That's fine.
No worries for the community, right? Really appreciate that. And yeah, so this is what it overall looks like. What was the second thing that you said after that?
So that's the only intent that I've explored, that you calculate, and the amount is staggering, but because of course, and then you compare that. Even if you, let's say, buy domains from any domain provider, and 30 inboxes or whatever, this is going to cost you this much. And then once you set the infrastructure up, it's just a matter of tweaking the copies, and anyone can do that. You don't need to hire someone. So I proposed this as a solution. And if eventually, yes, this is the only intent signal that I've explored. The hiring one, I do it cold. I don't do social listening. And then this, if they're running ads or not.
Super awesome, phenomenal. I'll tell the viewers a bit onto the past LinkedIn campaign, LinkedIn outbound campaign, and how have they been performing. So what I used to do recently is leverage softwares like Volexy or HeyReach and just send them a connection request first and all of that. But what I've discovered recently is, through leveraging HeyReach, what we do is we find out people from a list of leads who have LinkedIn Premium, and 95% of the premium people who have LinkedIn Premium have turned on this feature called open messages. So I leverage this and I just send them a free email, because in a LinkedIn Premium plan you can't send more than 40 or something like that a month, right? So I send emails, and I'm sending 100 to 200 emails every single day per email ID, per LinkedIn ID, LinkedIn account. And in a HeyReach campaign, you can actually put down, link all the LinkedIn accounts all together and then craft up campaigns. So it's actually sending 1,000 emails per prospect every single day.
It's not even costing you any credits because it's open. They're open to messages. Okay, interesting. Yes, so you don't have to wait for their connection request to get accepted, and then there is advantage of time to message. Okay, interesting.
If the offer is solid enough, you get 10, 20 positive responses every single day, and it has been performing like crazy. So before I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this, and if you have anything to add up on LinkedIn Outbound.
LinkedIn Outbound, I feel, is under. So it's like a 10 by 10 room, right? And if cold email is a 10 by 10 room and LinkedIn is a 10 by 10 room, I feel cold email is 99% occupied. LinkedIn is 40% occupied. So I think LinkedIn performs better. So even if they are on vacation, people respond. People don't respond on email, so that's advantageous. And I've seen people being more polite on LinkedIn than on email, because in general, so like I've had this experience where I asked for a referral, and referral not job application wise, but like, oh, I'm so sorry, I bumped in your inbox, you're not the right ICP. Can you tell me who the right person is? This is super important, because what you're doing is you are guessing this person is the decision maker, and then you pick 5 people from a company. Now I don't have to chase those 5 people. This person has told me the offer that I am running, this particular person is the right person. I focus all my energy on that one person per account. So people are very responsive, but not yet found a way to automate this. I have to do this physically. Then I assign that particular lead to the SDR, and then SDR chases them to death until they come on the meeting. So yeah, but in general, everybody should do LinkedIn if they're not.
Awesome. So you just said the fact that people are more polite on LinkedIn, and that reminded me of one particular instance where the guy literally, and I believe you might have received it too. So the guy literally just pulled out laws that I'm breaking by unsolicited email, and he said that if you reply back to me again, you're going to get this much amount of fine and this much amount of jail. And he was so definitely pissed up on email. So yeah, definitely, I think you would have received something similar to that.
Yeah. I think in US, can spam is very strict and scraping somebody's data. But then why do Apollos of the world, Zoom Infos of the world exist?
It was actually a GDPR policy in Europe, right? GDPR in compliant, but yeah. So what to just actually call off our podcast today, I wanted to ask, do you believe for the viewers the future of Outbound is going to be, in a few words, in let's say the next 3 to 5 years, and your overall finishing thoughts, whatever you had?
I think people, as AI automation increases, and this is increasing exponentially, right? 2 years back, Outbound was way different, and automation did not exist, more or less. So I think everybody's data is available, right? So I think somehow you have to get back to the human touch. We could have done this over Meet as well, right? But I met you in a cafe, and that has a different impact, right? Feel much more connected to the person. So I think cold calling is something that will pick up again. Bringing people to virtual, I don't know, it's virtual at the end of the day, but at least you see the person's face. Sending looms, anything which proves you are a human and not ChatGPT written, might sound counterintuitive, but you have asked for the next 5 years. So I think this is something that will pick up, because at the end of the day, a person will buy from a person. Again, cliche knowledge in the space. So until and unless, I think this is a wild edge case, but this is what I believe, that human connections is top something that will pick up again. Cold calling so. But until and unless AI is buying AI. So then I don't know, because then the person is no longer human and the AI is making decision what AI to buy. So then I have no idea, but this is something that I think is the outbound industry will eventually lead into.
Awesome. That's a very, very interesting thought. I believe, as per we are going to slowly innovate, and on the top 1% outbound agencies are going to stay. Right now, the top 10 agencies are staying, and rest everyone is not getting results. But yeah, really, really appreciate your time, and thanks a lot for your time on here, for sharing your diverse experiences, and thanks a lot for being on the show.
It's been a pleasure, Nishkash. Thank you.